Hello, YouTube. It's Mike here with Hobbies of Man once again, and today we are doing a monthly ramble. It's the first video after the TBR, and as always, this is a ramble video. This is a video where I don't script anything. I just go off the top of my head, off the dome, just kind of take it easy and decide, hey, this is what I'm going to talk about. I don't actually have a topic yet, so fuck, man, it's going to be hard. But what I want to do today, I think, right now, is talk about comic books. Now, I have previously done a video where I talk about why manga beats comic books, and that the video was basically that it doesn't really matter that, you know, there's some political issues going on with people not liking that a lot of comic books are very preachy and stuff like that, and it doesn't matter about race and gender, and all of those social political problems aren't really the reason why comic books are hard to get into. I mean, it might be a reason for certain groups of people why they might not get into it, but it doesn't actually affect getting into them. And sometimes you could argue that it's because comic books just don't have good stories, because they focus mostly on the collector side of things more than the story side of things. And this is viable for some cases, not necessarily for all of them, and I don't really think that that really matters too much, because manga is also about selling things in order to collect things. So, I mean, most of the industry of comic books and manga is built around this idea of merchandising and developing things that people want to buy and collect. Manga DVDs, or sorry, not manga, anime DVDs, anime merch, all of this stuff, anime itself is created based on a manga IP in order to sell things, right? It's the same way with comic books. Instead, comic books kind of collect the single issues as well, mostly because the aftermarket for comic book issues is quite large and extensive. But anyway, what I essentially came to the conclusion of was that comic books are hard to get into because it's hard to find a good starting point. And this is still true. I still think this. I believe it very well. There's only really two ways that you can go about this, right? If specifically for superheroes, which are honestly kind of boring at this point. I mean, you can just watch movies and TV shows, and you don't really have to read the comic books. So you don't need to. But if you want to, it's very, very difficult because comic books have this very long running history. The majority of characters that most people are interested in, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, all of these guys have 40, 60, 80 years worth of content that you have to wad through. And it's kind of impossible, right? It's not the best, and especially because out of those 80 years, only about 20 of those years are meaningful, good content, and out of those 20 years, only about 10 of them are readable without any context, and only about 5 of those 10 years are readable without any context and useful for new readers, right? So it's a really, really like large scope of things, but if you're trying to narrow it down for new readers, it just becomes infinitely smaller, and it's really tough to get into it, right? So basically, you only have one option for that, and it's you gotta go research the shit out of it. Research what type of characters you want, which superheroes you want, and try to find either their first appearance, which is usually very early on in comic books, and it's actually not very good because comic books weren't really written that well or drawn that well back in that day. Or you can find good entry points, which are, again, are kind of tough because what one person finds to be a good entry point isn't like what another person would find, right? And this is very harsh and difficult because manga doesn't have this issue. If you want to read Dragon Ball, you pick up Dragon Ball Volume 1 and you're good to go. And sure, you might be confused, oh, but Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super. A quick Google search, literally 10 seconds, is going to show you that Dragon Ball is the first one, Dragon Ball Z is the second one, the one that most people know, and Dragon Ball Super is the continuation. It doesn't take any effort at all to find this information. Now, if you want to find the right place to start with Batman, you have to do quite a bit of research, right? And that's actually the crux of the problem. So how do you overcome this? Well, there's a few ways that I can think of. One, you don't care, and you just start with issue 1 or volume 1 of a character you like. This should be relatively easy with DC comic books, mostly because their latest revamping, relaunch of their world was relatively recent. You could read Rebirth, which is a kind of the launch of a previous launch of things called New 52. Now, New 52 is basically like, hey, we need to destroy the universe of our characters and rebuild it. And we have to start off from scratch. Everyone has either an established story that is kind of general, or we all kind of start from the beginning and just create new origins for these characters based on their previous stuff. There's two major people that you should check out if you want to check out the New 52. Scott Snyder did Batman and Batman related stuff, and then Jeff Johns, who did everything else basically. And those two are really, really good. I like the New 52 quite a bit. I've read Volume 1 of Justice League, Volume 1 of Batman, Volume 1 of Red Hood and the Outlaws, Aquaman, Volumes 1 through 3, Superboy, and they're all pretty good. I enjoyed all of them. They were all more or less origin stories, except for the Batman one, and they were all really enjoyable. And I actually did get interested in DC Comics because of it. So that's one way to go for DC. I don't know how to go about it for Marvel because honestly, I don't really like that many Marvel characters too much. I mean, I like them, but the MCU versions are better for me, and they're also not really relevant to what's going on in the comic books. So it's kind of tough for Marvel. So we're moving on from that. That's all you got to do for Marvel. You just have to do research. You could technically buy those like random volume ones and shit, but I don't think it's the best. It will probably end up with you being pretty annoyed at the fact that you don't really know what the hell is going on. And especially if you pick up a volume 1 of something that is relatively recent and then try to go back and find more stuff about them, it's going to be kind of hard, right? But here's what I did. I went to leagueofcomicgeeks.com, which is a website where basically it tracks all of the new single issues that are coming out every week, and I just scrolled through it and I decided to find different issues of different things that I was interested in. Now, I already knew about comic books and I didn't really have to do that much research, but really what prompted this was Free Comic Book Day on August 14th. I went in, just randomly grabbed some comic books, and they were giving them out for free, so I just grabbed as many as I wanted, and I read them all, and I really enjoyed the reading experience. That was very cool. This large artwork, these very thin but kind of malleable pages. It's kind of cute. It's kind of enjoyable, and it's just kind of really zen to just open and read short stories really quickly. It's the same thing as reading single chapters of manga on the Shonen Jump app or something like that, but of course with the added tactile feedback. So I really enjoyed it, and I was like, well, I want to try this out. I want to get more stuff. So I went back to the comic book store, and I knew that Spawn was going to have a new series coming out, right? So I went ahead and got issue 1 of King Spawn. Then I went back to that website that I said and just scrolled through it and tried to find issue 1s that I found interesting. So Spawn was the first one. And then I did Darkhawk. This one I picked up because it was by Kyle Higgins. And I don't personally know anything about him. I just know that he's the guy that did all of the really cool Power Ranger stuff. I like Power Rangers. I haven't read his stuff yet, but I liked this well enough. And I have other stuff by him already that I'm going to read this month. Then I just browsed the store. I was like, okay, what else do we have here? Picked up Black Knight. I picked this up because I heard that the new Eternals movie that's going to come out from Marvel in like December is going to feature the Black Knight, and it's going to be played by Kit Harington, the guy that does Jon Snow, right? So I decided to pick it up, kind of know a little bit about the character. I did like this, but I'm not going to finish collecting it. I mean, there's only 5 issues. It's not that difficult to collect because the trade paperback is coming out in October, and I found this on that same website, League of Comic Geeks. Then I got Barbaric. Now, I knew about this because I was lucky enough to get some review copies of some comic books from Vault way back early in quarantine. And I knew that this was coming out because I follow them. So I didn't actually pay attention to it, but I saw it at my local comic book shop and I picked it up. Loved it. Then I was like, you know what? I need to go to a different comic book shop to try and see if they have other stuff. I had seen that there was this new Transformer series that was going to come out. Transformers King Grimlock. Now I checked what it was. I think I actually found out about issue 2. So I went back to my other comic book shop, the other one. The one I have a pull list at is called Comics Asylum, and the other one is called Madness Games and Comics. And I found this. Now I actually went today and got issue 2, and I'm quite happy about that. But this is essentially a Transformers isekai story. Grimlock, the Tyrannosaurus Rex Transformer, ends up getting sent somewhere else. He gets sent to this fantastical land that is being terrorized by a Transformer that can turn into a golden dragon. So that's what this is about. This is an isekai Transformer story. While I was at that other store, I ended up coming across this, Sweet Paprika. Now, why did I pick this up? It's because of the author, Mirka Andolfo. I heard that she was going to do a Red Sonja series. I found it on that website that I told you about, League of Comic Geeks, and I Googled her, and she's Italian. She's worked with Panini and Glenat, which are European comic book and manga companies that I'm aware of. And everything that she wrote was romance oriented. It was kind of interesting, right? So I was kind of surprised about how Red Sonja was going to be written, and I decided that I needed to check out her other stuff. This is the first thing I checked out. I loved it. Kind of reminds me of Sweat of Soap. Kind of reminds me of a rom-com harem type of thing. It is very raunchy. It's very adult. So this is not for everyone, but it's very good. I do recommend it. Picked up issue number 2 today, and I can't wait to read it. There's so many other Mirka Andolfo series that I want to check out. There's Mercy, Unnatural, Unsacred. There's quite a few different things that I want to pick up, and I'm really excited to see how she does Red Sonja. I'm going to read it later today. I'm really excited about that. Then I also got Barbaric Volume 2, or Issue 2 and Issue 3. Still not used to the terminology that well, but there we go. Barbaric is great. It's a very cool kind of like Viking, Conan the Barbarian-esque, pulp fantasy style series, sword and sorcery kind of thing, and I really liked it. So what have I learned from doing this? Go for indie publishers. Don't focus on Marvel, don't focus on DC. Fuck those guys. They're great companies, very interesting, very cool stuff that they make, right? But it's going to be very hard to get into it. Don't bother. Unless it's an issue 1, right? So what should you do instead? Focus on indie comics. Look at Vault. Look at Valiant. Look at Image. Look at Dynamite. Look at all these different smaller content creators, smaller comic companies. They're gonna either have characters that are so well known, so widely available, and so old that everyone knows about them, like John Carter of Mars, Deja Torres for Dynamite, Vampirella, Barbarella, these kind of cheesecake, old school pulp fantasy kind of heroines and heroes. Or they're gonna have completely new, completely easily found, easily understood characters like Spawn in terms of Image. And characters like this that don't really have too much going on for them just yet because they haven't been around that long, but they've been around long enough and are known well enough that you'll find a lot of information about them. Spawn is really easy. You just go back and find the trade paperbacks of Origins, and you go for the volume 1, and you pick it up and you start reading from there. There's 20 of those, which go up to like 120 something issues, and then from there you can start collecting the trade paperbacks that are coming out now. Or you can just jump into the new Spawn stuff. Start at 300, at issue 300, and then get Spawn Universe, King Spawn, Gunslinger Spawn, and Scorch. That should cover everything that is going on now with the Spawn Universe kind of thing that's going on. Todd McFarlane was like, you know what? It's been 300 issues. It's been over 20 years. Let's just get into it. Let's make a universe out of Spawn. It's going to make it a little bit more confusing, but if you get on it now, it should be okay. But indie comic books are really the way to go. It's how you get the most enjoyment out of comics, is how you don't get lost trying to find a character you like. And it's really just where you're going to find authors that you like. And if you find authors that you like, you're going to be able to start finding comic books that you like based on the author, right? You like a way, you like the way this author does his work. Okay, how did he handle Batman? How did he handle Flash? How did he handle this other character? And that's how you start to get into it. And that's basically what I've learned from all of this research that I've been doing about how to get into comic books. So that's basically it. That's all I have for you guys. Go on leagueofcomicbookgeeks.com. You can actually find a store near you, like a local comic book shop, and also go to the new comic section and just look through that list and see if there's any issue ones that you're interested in, or issues that are maybe not issue one, but they're a character you really like. Click on it, read the description, see if you can read it without having to, learn more about them. Or if it's an issue one, if you're interested in it, and then just jump in. Go to your local comic book shop, tell them, hey, I want this, and you get it for me, or do you know if you have any extra copies, and just jump in. Go full like steam ahead. Just enjoy the experience. Don't get bogged down in trying to find the right story, because honestly, that's really difficult. Just find an issue one, pick it up, enjoy it, and if you don't enjoy it, don't pick the next one up. Just find a different series, and you can just keep doing this until you find something you like. Like I said, my recommendations are definitely Sweet Paprika if you like rom-coms, and Barbaric if you like more traditional medieval fantasy type of series. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. How did you guys get into comic books? How did you guys start collecting comic books? What do you think about my advice? Is it doable? Is it not doable? Am I completely talking out of my ass here? Am I just kind of really stupid? I don't know. Just let me know what you guys thought down below. And I really appreciate everyone that watches. Thank you guys so much. You guys really make this meaningful to me. So thank you all so much. See you guys later.